It's the first time, really, you think about it, it's 14 billion years since the universe came into existence and the Big Bang. And at this time, we get to choose. We get to choose our lives, how we respond. We don't always get to do that. We get to choose love or not. I think that's huge. So this whole talk is really relevant. I think that we're talking about living the best life that you can live. And you get to choose what that life is and how you respond to your life. It's huge. See, we're on this journey. Our soul is on a journey. Our body is on this journey too. We're on this journey and we are evolving toward this incredible agape love. Not ego love, that's along the way, and we have that too. But I'm talking about this incredible agape love, which really means cooperation. It means kindness, it means wisdom. That's what agape love is. And we are evolving, our souls are evolving towards that. But it's a process, it's a divine process, and that's what we're in, this process of evolving. So we're all at different spots, and we get up here and then we fall back, back and forth. Sometimes we listen to this side and sometimes we listen to the angel, and then the little devil pops up. You ever have that? Have these voices in your head that you have to kind of choose which one you're going to follow? We all have that. We all have these little voices that pop up, and it's just like, leave me alone. You got a committee in your head. What are you choosing? What are you choosing to listen to? So what we're talking about today is that we are choosing consciously for the first time. So many years ago, we just reacted. We didn't step back, take a breath, and respond to what's going on in our life, to all the stuff that's going on. We just reacted. We came from our old animal brain. And we don't have to do that any longer. So what I really want to talk about today is this journey is about being an awesome human. I call it an AH. You're an awe. Bob, you're an awe. AH, you're an awesome human. See, because along the way in this process, a lot of us get stuck on trying to be the divine one, trying to be the spiritual one, in the process. And we are spiritual. But let me tell you, you've heard us say it before, that you're as spiritual as you're going to get, right? That's going to happen. You're already spiritual. You have a divine in you. There's nobody's going to take that away from you no matter what you do. But what we have to work at is being an awesome human. We have to embrace our humanity. We have to work on being the best human that we can be. See, the divine just takes care of itself. And sometimes I think we get it backwards. We get it backwards. We're trying to evolve and be this spiritual being way up here, and the human part of us stinks. And think about that. I got to kind of thinking about that last night, and I was thinking back in my family. And I had this grandma. Oh, she was awesome. She was an awesome human. And she was kind, she was loving. She didn't talk about God. She didn't probably even, I'm not sure if she was a believer or not, and it didn't matter. She was just a good person, right? Her sister, Lori, was a good Christian. Everybody in the family knew it. When she would come over to the house, my dad had to hide beer. He would have me drinking a beer and he'd have to go hide it because Lori was a good Christian. And, that was just not what you did. And so I got to thinking about that. Lori went to church every Sunday. She was the spiritual, not the spiritual one. She was the religious one. She was the good one in our family. That in those days, that's what it was about. And my grandma wasn't. But yet my grandma, see, to me, had the God in her. She expressed it. She was the good human. Every thing that she did expressed God. Express love. And that's what I'm talking about today, is that we don't have to do anything. We don't have to go to church every Sunday. I hate to say that to you, because I'd love to tell you, be here every time and you're going to get more spiritual. But what it does is, it actually is good to come, because it does remind you of who you are. But you don't have to do anything. You're already that. When the Big Bang happened and the big explosion happened, that little piece of the divine was in all of us. It'll never be taken away from you. But nobody said you were a good human. You got to work at that. You got to work at being kind. We have to work at being wise, making conscious decisions. See, the divine part takes care of itself. And as we start to work to be better human beings, and I'm speaking to the choir here because you guys are all AHs here, you're all A's. Just say aw. Yes, that's you, awesome humans. But sometimes we forget, sometimes we're not so awesome, right? And sometimes we don't want to be so awesome, but what is it really? When you think of an awesome person in your life, do you know any? Who's awesome to you? Think about that. You don't have to shout it out. But who is awesome in your life and why? Why? And usually you'll say it's because they are a giver of the heart. They share, they give, they're kind, they're knowing, they have a confidence and a knowing, And the truth is, it's because they have separated from their lower nature. And they're acting upon their brighter nature, their higher nature. They come from something that is bigger than them, even though they might not know it. Like my grandma. She didn't know that she was coming from the God piece of her, from being kind, but she was. And every time that we are kind and we open our hearts, we're there. We're coming from that special place, that divine place that is in each and every one of us. So I want to talk about these two natures that we have, because each of us have these natures within us. We have the old animal brain, and the old animal instincts that we come from, the flight-fight response. And then we have this incredible God part of us too, because we're all of it, And sometimes there's a struggle, just like you saw in the little video, the struggle between the two, And I got to thinking that that's really a good thing. Every time that we struggle, that means that there's a choice, right? And we have the choice. Before this point, there was never a struggle. We just were rotten. You know what I'm saying? You didn't know. Now you get to choose. You don't have to be that way. You don't have to do all that stuff. You have the choice. So when there's a struggle, that means you're thinking, oh, I better not do it. So it's not a bad thing that you struggle. It's a good thing. See, we are on this journey to realize the divine in us. And to realize the divine, we start with our humanity. We embrace our humanity. So many times when I went to church as a little kid, it was all about God. And when they talked about God, they were talking about the higher part. They never talked about the lower nature. It was kind of sinful, really. We were called sinners. I don't believe that at all. We're born in blessing. And as we start to love ourselves and love each other, we start to see the divine in each of us. And I love what I've been reading. I just am such a, I love science. You guys know that. And I don't know a lot about science. And I'm watching the Wormhole, Carol, that series that's on. It's Through the Wormhole with Morgan Freeman. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. And it's talking about our journey in evolution. How we started as stardust, and then we were in the oceans, and then we went to the land. And this whole process of our lower nature, and then we've evolved to the point that we're at now, to this spiritual consciousness. It talked about sacred numbers. I just wanted to jump through the TV. I did, and just like say, man, read this. Read this, because they were talking about all sorts of sacred, geometry and things, the stuff that we kind of know about and we read about, and that is in here. And they're starting to discover everything that the mystics, everything that the wise sages have told us. The science is starting to discover it and going, wow, it's like, I read once God was an equation, and I never really got it, but I'm starting to understand what that means. That there was some kind of intelligence that moved forward to where we are today, that put us where we are today, and that intelligence is God, But this process to evolving to our higher nature is slow, isn't it? It's like, but when you really think about it, we want to be so spiritual. We want to be so perfect right now. And really, we haven't even been human beings that long. We really haven't. In this whole process of evolution, it's a process. It's a step-by-step process, and we're taking monumental leaps right now. And as a few of us do, we start to grow. And the earth starts to change. The world changes. See? And even our brain, this is so cool, our brain is wired for compassion. Wow, our new brain, right? Didn't used to be. It was the old reptile brain. Now our brain is wired towards compassion and love. It's wired to see God. Wow. And we have the capability to start to see that when we choose. When we choose to do it. See, I think it's the plan of God is to evolve us to realize that we've always been divine. That's been the whole step-by-step process to realize that we can choose to come from this divine nature. You know, it makes us I think Barbara Marx Hubbard did the work of conscious evolution and said that each of us can choose to be conscious, and when we do, the whole world will be. She said that conscious evolution takes place when we intend to grow in consciousness and use our increasing awareness to guide our actions and achieve a positive future. Conscious evolution enables us, if we take responsibility for it, to use our creative power to guide our own lives and the evolution of the systems and the communities in which we live and work, you know? But see, we have to choose. That's what this whole talk is about. That's what we're talking about today, is choose, choose, choose every moment. When you don't choose right, choose again next time. You know, keep choosing, because it's a process. You know, just like a little kid, just like my little grandkids. They choose wrong, they have to choose again. Try this again, try this again. Marianne Williamson said that our greatest gift that God gave us is the gift to change our mind. We can change our mind. I have done that every 10 minutes. Every 10 minutes. See? We can always return our minds to love. Always. We can always choose love, and we can always choose to be an awesome human being. How? By making conscious choices. By responding instead of reacting. By accepting responsibility for what happens in your life. See, an awesome human accepts responsibility. That's huge. You know, they're not a victim of what happens to them all the time. This person did this person did that. An awesome human stands in their own power and knows that they created and that they need whatever came into their life and that they can grow from it. That's huge. It's listening to the voice over here, or here, wherever, I don't know. Listening to the higher end and choosing. See? And Marianne Williamson said that the love that I seek can only be found in extending my life to others. My love to others. See, it's all about extending my love to you. Choosing to be kind, choosing to be generous, loving. And she says this, I love it. She says, you know, practice. Just practice, practice, practice. If you're not in the mood, do it anyway. If you're not in the mood to be kind, do it anyway. And let me tell you, this is true, because I was in Starbucks line. Go figure, huh? How many times a day that I'm in line there. And I was in Starbucks line, and this person behind me honked, like, you know, like, hurry up, get going. You know, does that irritate you? And sometimes, you know, I feel like, geez, you know, give me a second. Okay, so I started to kind of get a little off kilter here, and as I pulled forward, I thought, choose love, you know, choose consciously. And so I bought her drink. You know, I said, okay, you know, just pay for the drink behind me. I've done that before, and I thought, wow, this is a perfect time to do it. And it made me feel really good, you know, and I just smiled at her and took off. And so I'm just saying that there's all these little moments, you know, that you can kind of just shift, so that you're not, you could carry that honking around with you, right, all day. There's always stuff we can carry around with us and gripe about it all day and then tell somebody else about it. Or you can shift and you can choose to be an awesome human. See, it's never too late to be what you might have been, and it's never too late to become who you really are. Who you really are. It's your choice. It's identifying your brighter nature. What it means is taking the responsibility for your conscious life. So I want to close with a story here, because I love this story. This is a story that I read from Mahatma Gandhi's grandson, right? And he was telling this story in Puerto Rico from a lecture. And talk about an awesome human. Here's what he said. That I was 16 years old, and I was living with my parents at the institute my grandfather had founded 18 miles out of Durban, South Africa, in the middle of the sugar plantations. We were deep in the country and had no neighbors, so my two sisters and I would always look forward to going to town to visit with friends, to go to the movies. One day, my father, Mahatma Gandhi, asked me to drive him to town for an all-day conference, and I jumped at the chance. Since I was going to town, my mother gave me a list of groceries that she needed, and since I had all day in town, my father asked me to take care of the car, drop off the car, and get it serviced. When I dropped off my father that morning, he said, I'll meet you here at 5 p.m., and then we'll go home together. After hurriedly completing my chores, I went straight to the nearest movie theater. I got so engrossed in a John Wayne double feature that I forgot that it was time. It was 5:30 before I remembered. By the time I ran to the garage and got the car and hurried to where my father was waiting, it was really late. He was anxiously waiting for me. "Why were you late?" I was so ashamed of telling him that I was watching a John Wayne movie that I said, "The car wasn't ready, so I had to wait," not realizing that he had already called the garage. When he caught me in a lie, here's what he said. "You know, there's something wrong in the way I brought you up that didn't give you the confidence to tell me the truth. In order to figure out where I went wrong with you, I'm going to walk home 18 miles and think about it." So, dressed in his suit and his dress shoes, he began to walk home on the dark, mostly unpaved, unlit roads. I couldn't leave him, so for 5.5 hours, I drove behind him, watching my father go through the agony for a stupid lie that I had uttered. I decided then and there that I was never gonna lie again. I often think about that episode and I wonder, if he punished me the way that we punish our children, whether I would have ever learned the lesson at all. I don't think so. I would have suffered the punishment and gone on doing the same thing. But this single, non-violent action was so powerful that it is still as if it happened yesterday. See, that's an awesome human. That is somebody who takes responsibility for his life instead of becoming the victim. I just heard somebody, the other day explain that they were waiting for somebody and how mad they were the person didn't show up, and I thought about this. This is powerful. This is the choice that we all have to make. Maybe we wouldn't walk 18 miles. I'm not sure I would go that far, But I would think now about yelling at my kid, We have the choice to be awesome humans, and that's my prayer for each and every one of us, is that we activate that we choose, and if we choose wrong, that we choose again. Thank you.